Hello everyone and welcome. I'm glad you're here today. Today, we're going to explore the fascinating world of reading skills. This is the first slide, which is our cover slide, so I want to keep it simple and inviting. We'll be discussing what makes reading skills so important, how they develop, and some effective strategies to improve them. So, let's get started and dive into this exciting topic. All right, let's take a closer look at what this slide is all about. We start with the idea that reading isn't just about recognizing words. It actually helps us strengthen a variety of skills. These skills are essential because they impact how well we understand and engage with the text. When we read regularly, we develop better vocabulary, comprehension, and critical thinking abilities. Moving on, the slide also points out that reading influences the factors that affect understanding. This includes things like the difficulty of the text, our prior knowledge, and even our motivation to read. Recognizing these factors helps us become more effective readers. Next, we see that the slide mentions the reader itself. That's you and me, the person doing the reading. Our background, experiences, and mindset all play a role in how well we grasp what we're reading. Then, we come to the 5 thinking strategies of good readers. These are crucial because they guide us to actively engage with the text, ask questions, make predictions, and analyze information critically. Developing these strategies makes us more thoughtful and effective readers. Finally, this slide ties everything back to the overall theme by emphasizing that understanding the skills strengthened through reading and the factors influencing comprehension ultimately helps us become better, more confident readers. It's all about building those skills to navigate texts more successfully and enjoy the process even more. Let's talk about reading. Reading can be defined as the process of understanding the meaning of letters, words, symbols, and so on. It's not just about recognizing these elements, but really grasping what they represent and how they come together to form ideas. This understanding is fundamental because it's the basis for communication, learning, and sharing knowledge. When we read, we're engaging with symbols that have been assigned specific meanings, and our brain works to interpret those meanings quickly and accurately. This process is central to developing literacy and critical thinking skills. So, in essence, reading is more than just decoding symbols. It's about making sense of the world through written language, which ties directly into how we learn and connect with others. On this slide, we're exploring the skills that reading helps us strengthen. First, it enhances our ability to read a variety of materials, which broadens our understanding and keeps us adaptable in different contexts. Next, reading also improves our capacity to understand and remember what we've read, making the information more meaningful and easier to recall later. Another key skill is effectively communicating what we've learned from our reading. This means not just understanding the material ourselves, but being able to share it clearly with others. At the core of all this is comprehension, the ability to fully understand what we're reading. Remember, reading isn't just about decoding words, it's about grasping the meaning behind them. To deepen our understanding, we can set goals based on our purpose for reading. For example, are we reading to learn something new, to analyze, or to enjoy? Previewing the text helps us make predictions about what we're about to read, which primes our brain for comprehension. Scanning allows us to quickly locate specific information, saving time. Relating new information to what we already know creates connections that make the new material easier to understand and remember. Self-questioning, or asking ourselves questions as we read, keeps us engaged and actively processing the content. All these strategies work together to make our reading more effective, ultimately helping us become better learners and communicators. This ties into the overall theme of developing skills that support lifelong learning and personal growth. Let's talk about the factors that affect reading. As we've seen, both the characteristics of the text and the characteristics of the reader play a crucial role in how well we understand and engage with what we're reading. The way a text is written, its complexity, layout, and style, can either facilitate or hinder comprehension. At the same time, the reader's background, motivation, and even their current state of mind influence their ability to process the information. When these elements align well, reading becomes more effective and enjoyable. So, understanding these factors helps us improve our reading strategies and also guides us in creating better texts for our audiences. Remember, reading is a dynamic interaction between the text and the reader, and both need to be considered to enhance understanding. Let's talk about the text itself on your slides. First, the size and style of the font are crucial. Is it readable enough? You want to make sure your audience can easily see and understand your message without straining their eyes. Sometimes, a font that's too small or overly decorative can create barriers to comprehension. Next, consider your writing style and perspective. Are you speaking from your own point of view, using a first-person voice? Or perhaps you're addressing your audience directly, which is a second-person approach. Or maybe you're presenting information from an objective, third-person perspective. The choice here influences how your audience connects with your content. Another important aspect is the difficulty of the ideas you're presenting. Are they straightforward or complex? If ideas are complicated, visuals or simplified language can help make them more accessible. And speaking of visuals, pictures and illustrations play a vital role. They can reinforce your message, break up text, and make concepts easier to grasp. Well-chosen images can really enhance understanding and engagement. So, in summary, paying attention to font size and style, maintaining an appropriate perspective, simplifying complex ideas, and integrating relevant visuals. All these elements work together to make your presentation more effective and engaging. Now let's take a closer look at the reader and what influences their engagement with a text. First, background knowledge is crucial. When a reader has some familiarity with the topic, they can connect new information to what they already know, making comprehension much easier. Then, there's interest. If a reader finds the material engaging or relevant, they're more likely to pay attention and stay motivated. Reading ability is also a key factor. More skilled readers can decode words and understand complex ideas more efficiently. Attitude plays a big role too. A positive attitude towards reading can boost motivation and perseverance. And finally, we have the overall interest level. When the reader is genuinely curious or invested, that naturally enhances their focus and retention. All these factors, background knowledge, interest, reading ability, attitude, and overall engagement, interact and influence how well a reader can understand and connect with the material. Recognizing these aspects helps us create strategies to support different learners and foster a more effective reading experience overall. Now, let's talk about some key skills to become an effective reader. First, it's important to be able to find the main ideas in a text, along with the supporting details or evidence that back them up. This helps us understand what the author is really emphasizing. Next, recognizing a text's pattern of organization is crucial. Whether it's cause and effect, compare and contrast, or chronological order, understanding the structure helps us follow the author's thought process more easily. Another essential skill is testing our own knowledge and understanding as we go. This can be done by applying what we've read, asking ourselves questions, trying to explain concepts in our own words, or even summarizing main points. Rereading sections can also clarify ideas that might be confusing at first. Using structural analysis and contextual clues to identify unfamiliar vocabulary is also key. When we encounter new words, looking at how they fit into the sentence or paragraph can give us clues about their meaning. For example, if a text states, "The dates are listed in chronological order," we understand that the events are arranged from the earliest to the latest, which helps us grasp the timeline. Reading more critically involves asking questions while we read, summarizing or outlining main points and supporting details, and sometimes doing a think aloud to articulate our understanding. Explaining what we've read to someone else can reinforce our comprehension. Finally, making inferences and drawing conclusions, perceiving conceptual relationships. These are higher-level skills that deepen our understanding of the material and allow us to connect ideas more meaningfully. These skills collectively help us become more engaged and effective readers. Now, let's take a closer look at the 5 thinking strategies that good readers use. First up is predict. This means making educated guesses about what might happen next or what a story might be about. It's like using clues from the text and your own knowledge to anticipate what's coming, which keeps you engaged and active as a reader. Next is picture. Here, we're forming mental images based on what we're reading. Visualizing helps us understand and remember the story better because we're creating pictures in our mind, almost like watching a movie inside our heads. The third strategy is monitor. This is all about checking your understanding as you go. If something doesn't quite make sense, you pause and clarify it. Monitoring helps you catch gaps in your comprehension and fix them before they become bigger issues. The fourth strategy is relate. This involves drawing comparisons between the text and your own experiences or other things you've read. Making these connections makes the material more meaningful and easier to understand. And finally, correct. When you notice that your understanding is slipping or you're confused, you take steps to correct it. This could mean rereading, asking questions, or seeking clarification. Together, these strategies form a powerful toolkit that helps us become more thoughtful and effective readers, connecting to the overall goal of improving comprehension and making reading a more active process.